Ito ang Broad Stream Cast Communicators, ang naiba at kakaibang plataporma sa digital broadcast. Mula Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao hanggang sa iba't ibang dako ng mundo. Broad Stream Cast Communicators, ang sandigan ng sambayanan mula sa walang labis at walang kulang na pagbabalita, paglilingkod, maglalahad ng mga mapagbuong komentaryo at usaping pambayan para sa kapakanan ng karamihan. Broad Stream Cast Communicators, tuwirang maglilingkod ngayon hanggang sa susunod na henerasyon. Buhay Online, Chikahan at kaalamang pangkabuhayan. Ating tunghayan, pakinggan at tuklasin ang mga pangyayari at kaganapan sa mundo ng online. Buhay Online, Chikahan at kaalamang pangkabuhayan. Alamin ang pinaka-latest trends mula sa trabaho at kung hanggang saan na ang narating ng teknolohiyang ito. At ngayon, narito na ang ating host, ang ating Techiemommy, si Jaye C. Bautista.
Hello! Happy Tuesday everyone! Magandang umaga po sa lahat. And of course, welcome po dito sa ating Buhay Online today on a Tuesday. Parang it's a little bit cloudy, no? At saka kayo ng umaga, nagising ako sa medyo malamig na weather, which is meron na naman yatang ulan, impending rain. But anyway, at least hindi mainit, although there are days na feeling mo summer na talaga, pero ini-enjoy lang natin itong meron pa bugso-bugsong malamig na weather. But anyway, happy Tuesday everyone. And okay, yung mga wala akong birthday greetings pa because hindi ko na tingnan yung listahan ko, pero magandang umaga sa lahat and sa ating mga nanonood. Welcome po sa Buhay Online. And today, ang dami ko pang hindi na pag-usapan ng mga bagay-bagay about technology which I've been meaning to talk about, no? Ang dami-dami. Unang-una na gusto kong pag-usapan first, hindi na bali yung mga election, but then of course, we're narrowing down to a few more weeks before election. So, hindi bayaan na natin yung issue na yan. Unless naman there's technology to be talked about regarding the elections, no? Gusto mong ibig sabihin ang gagamitin pa naman din yata ay Smartmatic, right? But I don't wanna talk about that anymore because natin dapat pag-usapan ay yung mga things that are happening na ang technology ay nakakatulong or ginagamit natin ng technology, okay? Of course, regarding ang ano bang headlines natin, well, yun pa rin tungkol sa election, tungkol sa sabong, yung mga probe on the sabong, but that, yung mga nawawalang taon. Kasi talaga, really, in this, I think one of the things that industries na nag-proliferate nitong pandemya is yung mga sugal na yan online, right? Online sabong specifically. My goodness, nag-proliferate din yung mga sabong express or yung mga little casinos na sinasabi na yan, pero online, pagsasabong. At hindi lang din yan, kahit dito sa amin, pati yung bingo, parang nabuhay yung bingo. Lahat po ng fine, you tell yourself you're using this for entertainment, no? Para kasi sa boredom ng staying at home, pero hindi naman dapat kasi dahil lately, tingnan niyo ang nangyayari niyan sa mga sobrang what do you call this, nalulong sa sabong na nagpapatayan na. It's sugal, Wala kasi talagang mabuting kapuntahan yung if you are addicted to gambling, right? That's really not good at all. Sabihin mo ng negosyo, pero my God, negosyo parang in my mind, pag ginawa mong negosyo yan ano yan parang it's not money that you gain from working hard. It's from gambling. Anyway, so anyway, let's not talk about that anymore. Let's talk about positive things, right? Okay. Well, ang April po ay tax season, di ba? But we have a circular that came out. Sinabi po that the Bureau of Internal Revenue or ang BIR po ay hindi na magbibigay ng extension this year. Bakit naman, di ba lagi naman nagbibigay ng extension? BIR is not extending the tax filing deadline. Bakit? Ngayon nga more than ever yung mga tao nahihirapan, di ba? Dahil sa buhay, dahil sa pandemic, ba't ganun? The BIR or the Bureau of Internal Revenue will no longer extend the deadline for the filing of annual income tax returns, but will allow taxpayers to make changes to their documents until May 16. Pwedeng i-adjust yung mga claim nila, pero walang extension, pero pwedeng ayusin yung documents. Di parang extension din yun. Ano ba yun? The BIR has not extended the April 18, 2022 deadline for the filing of annual income tax returns and payment of corresponding taxes for 2021. Itong sinabi ng BIR advisory. Historically, taxpayers have until April 15 every year to submit their AITR or income tax returns, but the BIR extended the deadline to April 18 this year due to the Holy Week holidays. In spite of this, the BIR said it allowed taxpayers to file their tentative AITR until April 18. In turn, the Filipinos who submitted their tentative AITR can amend them, okay? Ibig sabihin, yung sasabit nyo sa April 18, pwedeng tentative kasi to follow yung mga papers, ganun ba? Kasi nga, you can amend them until May 16, 2022. Pero ipa-file mo na. Pero sasabihin mo na meron ka pa kailang correctin. Ano ba yun? Ang gulo. Without getting slapped with any interest, surcharge, and penalties. The BIR permitted the filing of tentative AITRs through the issuance of Revenue Memorandum Circular 42-2022. The agency authorized taxpayers to file tentative AITRs to mitigate challenges in meeting the deadline that fell right after a holiday stretch. Also, the BIR said it understands, that some taxpayers are adjusting to the hybrid working setup instituted by firms now that quarantine restrictions are lifted. April 19 na tayo ngayon, so hanggang kahapon lang po yung deadline, no? The BIR reminded taxpayers that they can file for refund in the event that their amended AITRs result in the overpayment of taxes. A taxpayer whose amended returns will result in overpayment of taxes paid can opt to carry over the overpaid tax against the tax due for the same tax type in the succeeding period or file for refund. Sinabi ng Memorandum Circular, okay? Under the Memorandum Circular, yung BIR also pinaalala sa taxpayers that additional attachments asked by the agency yung mga kailangan pang to follow na documents must be filed on or before May 31, 2022. They can submit their documents to the Revenue District Office where they are registered or through the Electronic Audited Financial Statement System of, malakas ng hangin, the BIR. The BIR usually records its highest collection figures, during April due to the filing of AITRs and the payment of taxes. Failure to pay taxes on time bear the imposition of surcharge amounting to 25% of the amount due and an interest pa equivalent to 20% per annum. So 25% ng buong amount na due plus may 20% per year na delinquent or something. For the year, the BIR looks to raise for the government a sum of 2.43 trillion, the bulk of which at 1.25 trillion will come from taxes on net income and profits. The BIR grew its collection total by close to 7% to 2.8 trillion last year from 1.95 trillion in 2020 as firms return to their usual activities with the reopening of the economy. file Raps versus Marcoses, okay? Ayun pa, paano yung mga tax na sinisingil sa mga Marcos? Ano nang nangyari doon? Prominent speakers in the webinar, God Knows Who Does Not Pay, the 203 billion estate tax liability of the Marcoses held yesterday renewed calls for the BIR to file criminal charges against the Marcoses for their willful failure to pay their estate tax liabilities. Hello? Ano na yan? Nabaon na sobra ng may mga namatay na at ano? Hindi pa rin to nasisingil? Ano ba yun? Retired Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Carpio said, "It is clear as day, totoo naman, beyond any shadow of doubt, that the estate tax assessment of the Marcos estate in the principal amount of 23.3 billion had long become final and executory and unappealable as of December 1991 pa." Hello? Ano ba yun? 1991, 30 years ago na yan? When the Marcoses failed to protest the assessment within 30 days of receipt of assessment. Ba't hindi pa nababayaran? Hello? That was 29 years ago. Okay? 30 years ago na nga. The decision of the Supreme Court affirming this estate tax assessment became final and executory on March 1999, or almost 25 years ago. Anong nangyari, right? Anong nangyari? Ba't hindi pa nababayaran? Makakatulong ng mabuti sa ating ekonomiya naman ang 203 billion pesos. Hello? Ibalik niyo yun sa kaban ng bayan. Carpio was joined in the webinar by former Tourism Secretary Nerzaling Lim, who spearheaded an online petition calling on BIR Commissioner Cesar Dulay to file a criminal case against presidential aspirant Ferdinand Marcos Jr. for failing to file their family's estate tax liabilities, which has now ballooned to more than 203 billion. The online petition has garnered around 22,000 signatures as of March 29, 2022. We requested for an appointment. It fell on deaf ears. Deadma talaga ang BIR. The BIR is ignoring this, and so we printed the hard copy of the petition and one of our members brought it to BIR, and it was received on March 30. We have a copy that BIR received that petition. Now, what is interesting about the petition are the comments made by the signatories. Many of them feel very cheated because they are taxpayers who faithfully paid their taxes yearly, year in and year out. Okay? And today is the deadline, at kahapon nga yung deadline for filing the taxes. And they paid, di ba, nagbayad yung mga taong to. While this family, the Marcoses, are handled with kid gloves, and it has been 25 years, maybe almost 30, and nothing has been collected. Di ba? Totoo naman. Ask what citizens can do in relation to the estate tax liability issue of the Marcoses. Carpio commented, the citizens have the power in their hands by not electing Bongbong Marcos. Totoo naman. Paano siya magiging presidente hindi nga niya nagbabayad ng tax? Hello? Para magkaroon pa ng mas lalim maraming pera. We have the power to stop him because if he becomes president, he will allow this right of the state to collect, to lapse, to prescribe. So it is in our hands to stop him by not voting for him. Second, we can file a case against the BRI officials because there is a provision in the tax code that if the BIR officials, in case they are negligent in doing their duty, and that negligence allows somebody to violate the law. Okay? Tama na, di ba? Diyos mio. Okay? So, ayan po ang ibig sabihin doon, di ba? Anong klase yan na parang nagdidili-dali. Hindi naman natin dapat yan gawin. Okay? Alright. Okay. So, in the matter of ano naman, okay? In the matter of business dito sa Pilipinas, okay? Work muna. Okay? Ang Germany po, para sa ating mga trabahador, okay? Germany is to open doors, di ba? Yung Portugal, ang Canada rin, nag-encourage ng immigration. Ito naman, Germany, okay, is to open doors for skilled Pinoy workers, okay? Sabi ng DOLE. 2 new labor agreements that will pave the way for more Filipino skilled workers in Germany are now being negotiated by the Philippine government. The Department of Labor and Employment disclosed on Monday. Yan po kagandahan ng technology na pwede nating malaman po kung saan tayo pwede mag-apply, anong mga countries ang nag-offer ng trabaho, okay? Because of technology, because of the internet, because right now, our possibilities po natin to an earning capacity is not only dun sa ating mga countries pero nag-extend worldwide because of the opportunities na nakikita natin. Ito nga po, Lanor Secretary Sylvester Bello III said that two labor agreements will not only open the doors for Filipino nurses but also skilled workers from the fields of hotel service, electrical engineering, and mechanics, sanitation, heating and air conditioning, tsaka child care. Okay? Yan po ang mga trabaho. Two new labor agreements that will pave the way for more Filipinos are being talked about now and negotiated, okay, ng DOLE at saka ng German government. One labor agreement aims to add another pathway for recruiting Filipino healthcare professionals, while the other one focuses on the deployment of 31 other skills and professions, okay? We are hopeful that the two agreements could come to fruition within the term of President Duterte and mark a significant milestone in the history of Philippine-German bilateral relations, all right? The Philippines currently deploys Filipino nurses to Germany under the Triple Win program. Since 2013, around 1,800 nurses under the program were exempted from the cap on the overseas deployment of Filipino healthcare workers. This developed as the German-funded Geriatric Skills Laboratory in Baliwag University in Bulacan was turned over to the Philippine government recently. The Bertelsmann Stiftung Foundation funds the laboratory through the collaboration of the Philippine and German agencies under the Triple Win Program Global Skills Partnership Program. Di ba? Because of technology, all these things are possible. Nakakapag-set up tayo ng mga training centers, okay, worldwide para sa mga trabaho na pwede nating magawa abroad, right? An expansion of the Triple Win program, the Global Skills Partnership Program, provides access to German training through face-to-face, e-learning, and other alternative methods. Of course, technology na naman yan. Given the aging population in Germany, geriatric care was also identified as one of the priority skills needed by nurses in the European countries. So, nangangailangan din ng mga caregiver, no? Okay? So, yan po magandang balita regarding jobs naman po. Okay? And updates, all right? Well, when we talk about yung mga offer po ng mga, what do you call this, service providers like Globe, Smart. Anyway, ang Smart po is unveiling its free TikTok for all. Okay? May prepaid promo ang Smart regarding TikTok. Enjoying TikTok, the world's hottest app nowadays. It just got simpler and easier. Kasi yung mobile services provider, Smart, nag-unveil po siya ng promo na free TikTok for all, which gives subscribers absolutely free TikTok access when they register to select prepaid promos. Okay? Under the Smart Free TikTok for All, subscribers can enjoy free unlimited access to TikTok every day if they register to a select Smart prepaid promo worth over 99 pesos lang. Okay? On the other hand, yung mga subscribers naman can enjoy free 1 gigabyte of TikTok every day upon registration to select Smart prepaid promos worth 99 pesos. So, ayun po. Magandang balita naman yon, no? Na yan po ay free. Hindi free TikTok for all, pero magsusubscribe kayo sa 99 pesos po lamang na worth na prepaid na plan. Okay? Alright. Okay. And another note naman po, okay, regarding technology, okay? Let's talk about surveillance systems. Okay? Surveillance systems, ito po yung ano to, diba? Inisip mo, circuit TV, okay? Well, a robust surveillance system is undoubtedly an essential component sa pag-safeguard po ng ating mga negosyo, securities, and assets, okay? According to markets and markets research on the commercial security system market, the projected market size will reach 342.6 billion by 2026, a significant 50% growth from 2021, okay? Ito po yung centralized surveillance system, okay? The projection is mainly attributed to to rising organized crime activities, growing needs and adoption of IP cameras, accelerating implementations of on-premise safety protocol, yung mga CCTV, and the known adaptation of cloud digital transformation due to the COVID-19 impact. Kasi nga yun, hindi na yung physical, hindi lalagay na sa cloud po yung security ng ating mga data, di ba? At sa mga information. Okay? Any business is prone to theft, okay, if not properly protected. And the fact that there's a possibility of a business being vandalized or sabotaged should motivate businesses to implement a sophisticated business surveillance system into their IT infrastructure. Kasi nga, di ba, usong-uso po yung cyber hacking. Pati nga yung gobyerno, nahahack yung website, nahahack lahat, nahahack yung mga bangko, nananakawan ng tao because pag magaling ang IT. Well, here are some of the most common challenges an organization may face when choosing a surveillance solution. Paano tayo pipili ng magandang business surveillance system? Okay? Isa-isain po natin. Alright? Okay. Ang unang-una po ang dapat nating gawin, dapat po may limited flexibility on camera and device selection. Okay? Although not all NVR vendors support exclusively their own branded cameras and devices, in practice, quite a number of NVR vendors only support a limited number of cameras and devices due to business reasons, okay? So it's quite often, yung mga negosyo po, ultimately settle and compromise sa mga camera that are not of their initial preference. It is also complicated and quite costly, okay? To replace the existing setup of businesses if businesses were to choose a surveillance solution that supports their preferred devices. Okay? So, dapat limited flexibility lang sa pagpili ng camera at saka device selection kasi if it's already working for you, i-adjust nyo na lang, no? Basta ang kailangan nyo kasing setup is choosing a surveillance system that already supports yung mga preferred services nyo. Okay? Number 2 po, insufficient storage capacity and scalability, okay? Yung mga traditional nagbebenta ng ganito na surveillance systems, they offer limited storage capacity and low flexibility to scale when needed. As the world becomes more digitally transformed, di ba? Technology innovations also propel swiftly. Things like resolutions and qualities of the video or numbers of the backup configured are putting these traditional NVR vendors into tests when it comes to keeping up with the growth of customers' data usage. So, on top of that po, yung mga increasing growing needs and adoption of IP cameras and the accelerating implementation of on-premise safety protocol, such as compliance of keeping the longer duration of video footages, yung mga sa CCTV po sa mga kumpanya, diba? Kung ganong katagal nila yun i-keep at bago i-file, these all propel businesses to rethink para mag-isip-isip sila muli tungkol sa surveillance strategies nila and the required storage space. Ano bang kailangan nyo? Ganong katagal nyo ba itatago itong footage na ito? Sa mga condo, sa mga bangko, sa mga building, right? You know, even yung mga sarili nating bahay, naglalagay tayo ng surveillance cameras now, lalo na pag may mga baby tayo, para nakita natin yung mga ginagawa ng mga yaya o yung mga trabahador natin. Ultimately, it has become inevitable for NVR vendors to provide greater scalability when it comes to surveillance storage, okay? Number 3, more than expected overall cost of ownership. Anong ibig sabihin? Yung mga users po, more often, na-overlook expenses nila beyond hardware costs. In reality, okay, ang isang magandang surveillance solution program may be connected from multiple sites. Okay, iba-ibang location, pwede talaga, di ba? Kahit na nga sa Amerika na, nakikita mo yung nangyayari sa bahay mo sa Pilipinas, ganyan, di ba? Consisting of several third-party components and requiring maintenance and support from different vendors. What comes along are the likes of multi-site VMS software subscription fees, third-party hardware integration expenses, or the hurdle of contacting multiple vendors to perform maintenance on different components of the surveillance system. Okay? Okay, it has become clear what type of modern surveillance solution a business should consider. Device and camera integration, scalability, and overall cost of ownership nitong surveillance system. Okay? Ito pa po yung iba-ibang bagay to look out for pag kayo ay bibili ng surveillance system. Unang-una, beware of camera vendor lock-in traps. Anong ibig sabihin? A handful of mga vendors po still regulate the device and camera compatibilities, giving business limited options when selecting surveillance system components. Para remedyohan po itong challenge na ito, a modern surveillance solution, okay, should elevate these hurdles by supporting multiple camera types. Hindi po yung nagla-lock-in sa isang camera lang ang pwede mo ikabit sa surveillance system mo kasi na ano yan po, ay hindi ka tuloy nakakabili ng mas mura or mas maganda kasi dapat yun lang type na compatible siya. So, yung mga bago pong surveillance systems, it already allows multi-compatibility. Okay? So, a modern surveillance solution should elevate this hurdle by supporting multiple camera types, including fisheye, PTZ, or multi-lenses, and the likes of ONVIF protocol. On top of this, I/O modules like door controllers, IP speakers, POS systems, yung mga cash register sa mga mall, sa mga businesses, mga intercom, and IP speakers should be integrated into the solution ecosystem, giving businesses a variety of options that match specific security needs. Coffee ko na lang. Okay, number 2 that you have to watch out for, take storage scalability into account. Okay? Take storage scalability into account. Hold on. Ano nangyari sa akin? Okay? Meaning to say, to address the storage needs for the growing surveillance storage and archiving demands, para yung pag-file nyo na po ng mga footage nyo, mga video, solution storage should be able to be expanded or paired with expansion units, meaning bumping up the storage capacity and allowing businesses to keep longer and larger sized video recordings with higher frame rates and longer duration. Itong flexibility na po ito, such flexible scalability combined with advanced management features drastically helps maximize po yung capacity, yung storage capacity ng mga files nyo, ng security footage nyo po. Ano pa po? Consider nyo yung licensing model. Ano ibig sabihin? Consider the licensing model. Advanced features and functionalities for a variety of VMS software typically incurs more costs, okay? But there are solutions out there that not only require one-time hardware cost, and all built-in advanced features are made available to users, which drastically decreases the total cost of ownership in the long run. So dapat po, think large-scale management, okay? Isipin niyo po, mag-isip muna po kayo itong large-scale management, no? Isipin niyo muna, okay? Think large-scale management over, okay? Magdalawang isip kayo, tatlong isip, because, okay, ano ba itong pinag-uusapan natin? Well, ito nga, pakita ko na nga yung picture. Ito yung ano. Ito po yan, yung security, no? Sa mga opisina, sa mga bahay, ang ginagawa ngayon. Diba? Okay, I'm just gonna show it. Bear with me please, sorry. Sandali lang. Ayan. Okay. Tapos na pala itong BIR filing. Suta pa ako. Ayan, okay? So there, we're talking about surveillance, business surveillance management. Diba? Tapos kami nangangampanya. Nangangampanya ba yun? Ang titinda ng isda. Ewan ko narinig. Anyway, the importance of surveillance and security solution is often being overlooked kasi by businesses, right? Businesses that would like to keep up with the modern surveillance demand but don't have the luxury to go through waves of trial and error kung ano pong pipiliin nilang na system based on the multiple vendors and solutions, okay, na nandyan. Okay? Ito pong isang i-recommend po namin, okay, na solution is the Synology Surveillance System or Synology Surveillance Station. SYNOLGY Surveillance Station. Kasi po, itong surveillance management system na ito provides centralized control and management features, storage flexibility, and device integrability. And most importantly, it has a multitude of features that are all made available and free to ensure the learning curve and cost of ownership can be kept to a minimum. Okay? Kasi po yan, di ba? Yun po yung pinag-usapan na sinabi natin. There are things that we have to look out for when we are selecting our surveillance system. Sorry, paso lang. Beware of camera vendor lock and traps. Meaning, huwag kayo bibili na hindi niyo pwedeng gumamit ng ibang camera kundi one brand lang. Ayun ang ibig sabihin nun. Number 2, take storage scalability into account. To address the storage needs for growing surveillance storage and archiving demands, solution storage should be able to be expanded or paired with expansion unit. So, pwede niyong palawakin pa yung storage capacity. To allow business, to allow your business to keep yung longer and larger size videos nyo longer. Pwede i-store nyo yung data na yon ng mas matagal. By having a surveillance system that has a wider capacity of storage. Okay? Tapos, consider the licensing model. Advanced feature and functionalities for a variety of software. Typically, kasi mas magastos yan. But, there are solutions out there that not only require one-time hardware costs and all built-in advanced features are made available. At isa na nga dyan yung Synology na sinabi ko. Think large-scale management over. A modern surveillance system should embody the likes of CMS feature that enables businesses to manage multiple recording servers across different locations, okay? Dedicated N+M failover mechanism that offers flexible failover options or deep video analytics features that provide security like object and human recognition. Ayan po, ang galing. Or no idle zone for the premise. Ayan po yung picture na pinapakita ko sa inyo. Okay? Yan po ang latest na technology, okay? Na magagamit dyan. Alright? A modern surveillance system dapat merong magandang mga features na ganyan that enables multiple recording servers in different locations. Alright? Okay. So that is po my take on the business, a centralized surveillance system. Okay? Ano pa po? Ang updates on technology. Well, okay, have you ever heard of course, okay, a match made in heaven na term? Well, ito po yung matagal na itong request, no, na pag-usapan dito. Because in the old days po, may mga matchmaker na tinatawag. Matchmaker or fixed marriages or yung mga betrothed ang tawag doon na pinapag-partner ng mga pamilya like sa China or sa ibang I don't know, sa Philippines, sa Muslims, diba? Pipili ng mapapangasawa, mina-matchmake nila yung mga anak nila, especially before yung mga prominent families. But meron po tayong tinatawag na modern day matchmaking, right? And let's talk about this now, alright? Ayan. Ayan. Modern day matchmaking. Oh my God. Sorry. Okay. A fourth generation matchmaker shares the biggest mistake people make with their online dating profile. Okay. Sa panahon na ito po, meron tayong mga modern day matchmakers. Alright? And let's talk about and listen to the life of this modern day one. A professional matchmaker who critiques dating profiles shares her common mistakes people make online. Si Maria Avgitidis, CEO of Agape Match, Agape Match, cited photos, bad prompts, and focusing on the number of likes. If you talk more about you, the person who's interested in you is going to match you, she said. Okay? Pag-uusapan natin po yung kung ano yung mga do's and don'ts daw. According to this head modern day matchmaker, ang CEO ng Agape Match, si Maria Agbitidis, ayun daw yung mga nakaka-turn off. Ano daw yung mga mistakes that people make with their online dating profiles? Well, sabi niya, okay, ang mga bagay na yan if you talk more about you, the person who's interested in you is going to match you. A fourth generation matchmaker who runs a matchmaking service in New York City and ranks online dating profiles on TikTok says there are common mistakes that people make on dating apps. Si Maria Avgitidis, 37 years old, is the CEO of Agape Match, a high-end dating service, okay, that charges between, imagine $30,000 to $50,000 for a 6-month contract. She recently ran a popular Q&A called Ask a Matchmaker on her Instagram page, which has amassed over 31,000 followers at the time of writing. In October 2020, she turned her hand to TikTok, where she now has over 56,000 followers. When someone is asked her to review their dating profile, Avgitidis told Insider her first video, which has 18,000 views at the time of writing, opened the floodgates, and she received 300 direct messages within an hour asking her to critique their profile. Okay? Diba? Gusto niyo makita ang itsura ng mga nagpapakritik na profiles ko no? Let's see, alright? Hold on. Let me just show you an example. Ito po yung mga nagpapa-check sa kanya ng profile nila. For example, let me just... Hold on, please. Bear with me. Okay. Alright. Okay. Let me just get it. Put it up here on the board. Katabi ng picture ni Maria. I'll just get it. Okay. Here it is, okay? Ito po, ganito po yung mga nagpapacheck sa kanya ng profiles. Ayan, kagaya nito. Look at this one. Oops. Ito sa face ko. Ayan. Ganyan. You love to laugh and don't take yourself too seriously. Yan, they let her check their profile to see kung effective to sa online dating, no? So, a dating coach reviewed a 31-year-old Bumble profile and said to replace his sexy selfie. Ayan po yung mga in-advise niya. Si Christopher is a 31-year-old freelance writer, volunteered to have his Bumble profile revealed for Insider's Dating App Clinic, a series where we ask experts how to revamp your dating profiles to increase your chances of finding a match. So, after a year of reviewing dating profiles, the matchmaker has shared the most common mistakes users might be making. So, kagaya nito, no? So, pinakritik niya yung kanyang profile. Christopher told Insider he's using Bumble, Tinder, and Hinge to find a relationship and a match. He's looking for someone who is strong, loyal, and empathetic, okay? I hate feeling like I'm being judged. I want love eventually. Ito ang sinabi ni Christopher nang in-interview siya. He said his deal breakers are people with no drive or commitment and those who use hardcore drugs. I want to convey that I'm a strong, confident man that works hard, loves to look good, and loves hard. I want to show that there is more to me than meets the eye. Okay? So, si Amy Noble, a New York City-based dating expert and founder of dating coaching service Love Army, told Insider how Christopher can tweak his profile to find more compatible matches. Okay? Okay. So, ayan din ang mga advice sa kanya na gawin daw less sexy yung kanyang selfie picture, ganun-ganun to. Pero itong si Miss Avtikidis, after a year of dating profile, matchmaking, and advices, ito ang sinabi niyang most common mistakes that users might be making. Okay, makinig tayo, okay? Unang-una, you haven't preempted how your potential matchers are swiping, okay? Avtikidis said, you have to first consider how your audience swipes, like yung sa Tinder, di ba? If your audience are straight men, you should know that they tend to swipe like psychopaths. Adding that they often swipe with instinct. Mabilis mag-swipe yung mga, straight men. Only after you match will they go through the rest of your profile and read the rest of your prompts and look at your photos. Okay, yan po. This reminds me of the Netflix program, Tinder Stories, whatever. Panoodin niyo po yun. Okay? She said that those who date women need to consider how fun yet safe they look and should aim to include some photos with their friends to show that there are people who can vouch that they're approachable. Oh, ayun palang advice niya. Dapat yung tao, meron siyang profile na meron siyang mga friends para alam natin na hindi siya loner or hindi siya weirdo na walang kaibigan. Right? Okay? The profile doesn't lead with your best photo first. Okay? According to Avgitidis, OkCupid, okay, found that, isa pang naman dating site to, OkCupid found that profiles with photos where the person is smiling directly at the camera get 3 times as many likes. So yung picture po na ang tao nakaharap mismo sa camera at nakangiti, that gets more likes than anything, right? Totoo naman. Siyempre, hindi mga naka-side-to-side. She said women who date men should also take a photo from their chest upwards while wearing color or standing in front of a colorful background to attract an instinctual swipe. For the same reason, she added na they shouldn't use too many pictures with their friends as this can detract attention away from them. Ito yung para sa babae, ha? Sinabi pa ni Avgitidis, ang hirap i-pronounce ng last name nitong CEO ng dating, ng Agape. She also said that men tend to take photos with their male friends in mind. For example, next to their car, and they should try to focus on their personality instead. Kadiri talaga. Sa akin, kadiri yung mga nagpo-post ng ganyan sa mga dating site na nakatayo sa kotse, ang baduy-baduy, right? Kadiri na parang pinapa-attract mo lang sa babae yung na meron kang kotse maganda, and not unless yun ang klaseng mga babae or lalaki na gusto mo i-attract, right? Na mukhang car. Okay? Sinabi pa ni CEO ng Agape that they should also make sure that they're still the focus of the image at hindi yung kotse or yung bahay. Dapat yung tao. Okay? Again, another one. Prompts focus on what you're looking for rather than your personality. Okay? Not taking dating profile prompts seriously is the biggest mistake you can make. If it's not unique, then don't put it at all. Sinabi niya, no? Noting that people who use prompts to talk about what they're looking for are missing the point. If you talk more about you, okay, the person who's interested in you is going to match you. Okay? Ano pa? Last, you are too focused on getting a lot of swipes rather than optimal matches. Ang ibig sabihin? There's a difference between a lot of matches and good matches, according to Avgitidis. I'm trying to get them the most optimal swipe, she said. I want the person they're actually interested in, looking for them, and then swiping. Tama. Dapat, di ba, hinahanap ka na, saka mag-swipe. Hindi kasi yung iba, ang dami-daming swipe na match. Hindi naman sila talagang match, okay? So her solution for online daters comes from her colleague Erica Eaton, who stands by the 55 rule, whereby users either swipe 50 times or until they have 5 likes. Once you hit that number, then you look at your matches and you start messaging them. Itong sinabi ni Beauty, adding that this allows you to figure out, okay, turnover rate to a date, di ba? Okay? So, yun po ang mga tips nitong si Agape na CEO tungkol sa paggagawa ng profile nyo. Right? Okay? Very good. Alright. Okay. Ano pa? Okay, ito pa isa pang last thing na pag-usapan ko, alright? Which I've been trying to, because of all this political correctness and gender equality, man, woman, or X, the US, okay, is rolling out gender-neutral passports. Isipin niyo yun, okay? Gender-neutral passports. Teka, nasa na ba yung akin? My goodness. I've been meaning to talk about this for ages. Laging kasi nauubusan tayo ng oras. Okay? That's why, saan na napunta yun? What happened to my gender neutral passports? Excuse me for a while. Okay? Forgive me. There you go. I found it. Okay? Alright? It's just a small box to tick, okay, on an application form, di ba? Pero, nowadays, there's a huge breakthrough for this, okay? There was D. Ojeda, a non-binary person, became one of the first Americans to apply for a gender-neutral passport. Even with my family, they still don't get it. Itong sinabi ni Ojeda, a 34-year-old activist who goes by D and uses the pronouns they, them. So at least I have the government to say who I am as a person, okay? The option to receive a passport with an X-gender designation, which was made available last 2 Mondays ago by U.S. President Joe Biden's administration, was hailed as a blessing for an estimated 1.2 million Americans whose gender identity falls outside the categories of man or woman. Okay? Sex is different from gender. Totoo naman. Here is why both matter. Okay? It's they, them for non-binary, a guide to gender pronouns. It came at a time when Republican lawmakers across the country have been passing legislation that critics say curtails LGBTQ rights and was likely to further fuel tensions around gender issues in a deeply divided nation. At their home in Washington's suburb of Alexandria, si Ojeda began to fill out the long online passport application form, putting down their first and last name, then choosing from 3 options for gender: M for male, F for female, and X for people who don't identify as either. They chose the latter. They also ticked the box for gender change to reflect the difference from their previous passport, which identified them as female. They didn't have to provide any medical documentation for the change. I think that's incredible, said Ojeda, who works as an organizer at the National Center for Transgender Equality, or NCTE, and holds a doctorate degree in psychology. What makes it difficult for trans people is just how hard it is to get anything changed, such as legal documentation. When Ojeda and their NCTE colleagues learned of the new passport option, they started crying to each other. Sinabi ni Ojeda, seated at their desks, a blue sweater with a thin beard with their hair pulled back, "See me as who I am." The State Department announced in October that it had issued the first American passport with the X designation for gender after a long legal battle waged by a person from Colorado who is intersex. But it was only on March 31, the International Day of Transgender Visibility, that the State Department announced it was extending that right to all Americans, as well as adopting other measures on the federal level meant to simplify administrative hurdles for transgender and non-binary people. A few other countries have similar policies. Australia began issuing X-gender passports in 2011, with New Zealand, Canada, Germany, and Argentina joining the roster since then, as well as Pakistan and Nepal. Ojeda already boasts a driver's license from their home state of Virginia, where her gender is marked as X. Ojeda said the procedure was simple. They received an appointment, filled out the application, and the X box was already there. So sa Amerika po, meron na pong male, female, and X. I was really happy about that because it was the first time I see myself and I in an identification form. Things, however, got more complicated with travel. Ojeda says they're often called ma'am, which is upsetting. Born in Peru, Ojeda cannot wait to visit their relatives there now that they have a new passport, which is required for international travel. Though they are still struggling to get their family to accept them. You know, they don't say the name that I want. I was given a different first name at birth. When I pretended to be a woman and I tried really hard, there was something that always bothered me. Now I can turn around and say, well, in my ID, the government sees me as who I am, and maybe you need to start seeing me as who I am. Alright? So, ayan po yung tungkol sa passport na gender neutral. Kasi po, di ba, ito pong isang topic is sex is different from gender. Ayan po, here's why, and I'm going to tell you briefly why this matters, okay? The concept of sex and gender continue to be used interchangeably, despite international efforts to address this issue. The term sex is generally used to refer to a binary of being either male or female, as denoted by attributes that comprise biological sex. Gender, on the other hand, is meant to refer to the various socially constructed roles, behaviors, expressions, and identities of girls, women, boys, men, and gender-diverse people. For example, do you want to know if a new drug was tested and approved for safe and effective use with women? That is a sex question. Do you want to know why women make up the majority of long-term care workers and how this impacts their lives? That is a gender question, okay? Canada is seen as a world leader in sex and gender-based analysis. However, okay, there are still a variety of challenges in the actual application of the approach sa health research, okay? In practical terms po, when health research does not include sex and gender-based analysis, it can result in a lack of access to appropriate health information, mga diagnosis po, or care for all population. Ang Canada po kasi, Canada's long-standing commitment to sex and gender-based analysis is noteworthy. Siya po ang nag-umpisa niyan. Dali lang po. Ala, nagpapal na ako. Anyway, however, this approach has yet to achieve widespread integration across federal departments and agencies. If sex and gender-based analysis is truly aimed at advancing our understanding of the ways in which, for example, mga federal policies and programs are improving the health of women, men, boys, girls, and gender-diverse populations, we need all federal departments and agencies to use this approach, okay? However, as indicated by the Office of the Auditor General of Canada, only a fraction of federal departments and agencies that committed to measures such as the Action Plan on Gender-Based Analysis have actually conducted gender-based analysis. Itong lack ng uptake matters because a sex and gender-based analytical process can be used to determine how diverse groups of women, men, girls, boys, and gender-diverse people are being differently affected by federal initiatives. So, it can be challenging to address o paano natin i-correct ang poorly developed policies after the fact by applying sex and gender-based analysis after they've been rolled out or applied. The point is po, to ensure that inequalities are addressed at the outset of our health policy development processes and not as an afterthought, kailangan po itong pagtuunan ng pansin, okay? One of the stated goals of sex and gender-based analysis is to help government decision makers, including those in the health sector, identify sex and gender considerations, such as, okay, yung participation and inclusion, okay, of diverse populations. To achieve that, ito pong mga issue na to need to be incorporated mula sa umpisa pa lang while programs and policies are being developed. Kailangan i-consider na po itong sex and gender-based analysis. Tensions in implementing a sex and gender-based analysis approach have been evident for a long time sa health sector. For example, in relation to women's cancer screening and cancer registries, the ongoing invisibility of lesbian, bisexual, and transgender populations overlooks the unique cancer diagnosis, treatment, and care needs of gender-diverse populations. Okay? In addition to this, yung pong cancer registries can benefit from sex and gender-based analysis. Kasi nga, lahat dapat tanggapin. Hindi lang kung women, breast cancer, women lang yung health concern, di ba? These registries collect, store, manage, and analyze data on people with cancer to help with cancer surveillance as a resource for cancer researchers and to serve as the evidence base to inform public health programs and policies. If cancer data are collected using a gender binary of male or female patient populations, for example, this information is then fed into a cancer registry that in turn renders invisible those who identify as as gender non-binary or transgender or other gender identity. So, paano natin i-inform yung mga gender and sex-appropriate cancer prevention, care, treatment, and support programs or policies, di ba? Pag ganung mga pagkakataon. Sex is not gender, okay? But we continue to treat these as the same concept. We use them interchangeably. We use them in health research, health policies, health programs with dire consequences, okay? After decades of trying, we should be able to get this right. Now, there's a difference between sex and gender, okay? On that note, okay, we would perhaps devote another time and more time to this issue of gender equality and sex and gender based analysis, okay? So, on this note, we would like to end today's episode. Marami pa rin marami pang pag-uusapan tungkol dyan. We can come back and talk about it another time. But thank you so much for those who joined me today. Maraming salamat po for coming to Buhay Online. And of course, we are on YouTube. Immediately after our telecast here, our broadcast here, we are migrated into YouTube where we have a Broad Stream Cast Communicators channel. We have our own. And you can glimpse or watch yung mga past episodes namin na na-miss nyo. Thank you so much for joining me. At syempre po, palagi ko sinasabi, at the end of the day, 3 things should remain in our hearts. And that is faith, hope, and love. Maraming salamat po for joining me today. This has been Jay Bautista for Buhay Online. Okay? Masaya nagbabalita at nagbibigay sa inyo ng updates on technology and how it is affecting and effecting our lives. Lalong-lalo na po dito sa pandemic. But sana po nagkaroon kayo ng magandang Easter weekend and ngayon po sana magkaroon kayo ng magandang lunch and have a good rest of the day, okay? Thank you so much for joining me at bukas po magkita-kita tayo muli same time 11 o'clock here on Buhay Online. Jay Bautista saying goodbye for now but see you tomorrow. Thank you and hindi ko nakita yung mga names na nandyan but I'm sure I'm saying hello to all the people. And thank you for joining me today. Maraming salamat po.
Inyong natunghayan at napakinggan ang mga makabagong pamamaraan